Hi everyone, this is Jarle from Handmade Cards, Happy Heart. Thank you for joining me. Today I will be sharing a very summery card that I will be entering in the current Lawn Phonetics Challenge and also in the Cloud9 Crafts Challenge. First, I want you all to see which products I used to make this summery scene card. As you can see, I will have to die cut a few things like a grass border and my backdrop, my sun backdrop. And then also I have a few stamp sets with different mice. Then also my summery tree. And then two little critters from that new, the more the merrier stamp set. So off camera I already die cut a bunch of pieces. So I have my rectangle frame there, my backdrop with that sun, and then my little summery pink tent. I started by placing all of my images onto my card panel. So that way I could decide which images, which cute critters I wanted to include in this card today. I didn't used to do this that way, deciding on my images with just the stamps itself, but I find that it really helps me a lot by choosing my images, it also helps in deciding how many critters or how many images I would like on my card, so it's not too empty or it's not too crowded. It's actually quite efficient to do it this way. Here I am taking out my Misty tool and then stamping all my images onto Nina Classic Rust Solar White paper with MFT black ink. I really love this ink because it's very black, very crisp, and it doesn't smear at all with my Copic markers. I actually stamped all my images twice, so I had the best impression. All my images were stamped here, so I'm putting away my Misty. And then I just wanted to enhance some of my images with my Copic multi-liner. So you don't quite see it in the video, but some lines didn't stamp quite as black as the other ones. So I just wanted to enhance those black lines a bit so every image was nice and crisp. Okay, down to my ink blending. For the sun, I just used one color, only that yellow squeezed lemonade. I think that's my favorite yellow color of the whole range. And then for my grass, I used cracked pistachio over the whole die cut. And then I put on some lucky clover just at the edges. So I start out with my cracked pistachio, then I go to my lucky clover, but then I always get a quite a harsh line, so then I go back with my cracked pistachio and blend it out again. For my sky, I use two colors. The tumbled glass is the very light one, and then I am going over it on the edges with Mermaid Lagoon 2. It turned out a bit darker than I wanted to with that Mermaid Lagoon. Actually, I was planning to go with a lighter sky, but eventually I do like how it turned out in the end. So here again you can see that harsh line, but when you go back and forth with those two colors, that line really disappears and you get a beautiful blend. As always, for my blending I use Bristol Smooth cardstock and my blender brushes. I am not too concerned about that bottom, because that bottom part will be covered by my grass. Now on to that coloring. So for that little fox, I'm using a bunch of different browns. I know that Kelly Marie from Fawn always uses the YR Copics, but I don't have those, or I don't have one of them. So I am just using browns for the moment. So for my darkest one, I have E18, and then I have E15, E13, and E11. For my white of my foxes, I just used a neutral gray and then blended that out with a colorless blender. Then off to the hedgehog. Also a sort of brown, all brownish shades that I'm using here. And then off to those little mice. I'm just going to color one mouse in this video because I will be using all the same colors for all those little mice. For the ears, I'm using RV11 and RV10. For that little, those little inside of the ears, and then their little belly. I stamped out 2 of the summery trees, but I eventually only used 1 in my final card. But I will be showing you which colors I used for my trees. I went with green, with my favorite combo of greens. I think that was G17, G02 and G00. Then for my pinks, I used RV14, RV13 and RV11. As you can see, I am also using that color for my little ice creams. I try to minimize the amounts of colors on my cards. So that red that I'm using now, I'm using it for that little picnic mat. Don't know how you say it in English. And also that watermelon. And I think I'm also using it for my can of soda there. Or no, there I'm using my pinks again. So just every time the same color combination. Here I'm using C1 and I'm blending it out with the colorless blender. As always, I die cut all the images with my coordinating dies. And then it's time to assemble everything. So I adhered my sun with some low-tack tape, with some post-it tape on the back. And then I adhered my little tent with some liquid glue. I'm not gonna place everything final, so I'm not going to place everything with glue or adhere anything yet. I am just gonna place my images to see where it would all go again, and then also how far or how wide my glossy border should be. So I always cut it quite large or quite wide. But I eventually always trim it off. That gives me the most options, I think. You can see me fiddling here with all those little images and with that border until I'm happy with the placements. Then I'm taking out my pencil and just drawing a little pencil line there. My pencil isn't working as it should be. So I'm drawing drawing a little pencil line there. And then I'm taking my paper trimmer and trimming the excess border off. I already adhered my grass and my tent. As you can see, I didn't include the whole tent in my scene. I tried to extend my scene a bit. I think it was Mindy Egan that gave this suggestion to make sure that your scene, or give the illusion that your scene is going through outside your cards. And I really like that look on cards. For my images, I just used my liquid glue for a few of them, and then for a few other critters or a few other items, I'm using foam squares to mount them a bit. This gives the illusion of dimension on your cards. So the hedgehog is further away, and then that little mouse is running towards him because he wants that ice cream. And then that little fox too, he is handing down his watermelon to that little mouse there. I actually cut a little slit there between his hands, or between his arms, and I will tuck that watermelon right in there. I think this gives it a more realistic look on the cards. I'm trimming that tent down, trimming off the excess there. And then it was time to adhere my panel to a side-folded card base. I just used my ATG tape runner there. Since there was no more room for a sentiment on the front of my cards, I decided to stamp a little sentiment inside. I also used my MFT black ink, and I used the Fawn offset birthday sayings. Just saying, wishing you a very happy day. I used my stamping block for this. And to finish off the cards, I am using a black gel pen to enhance the eyes of the critters, of that little fox and that hedgehog. It makes the eyes stand out a bit more, and I really love the effect of that. I'm also taking my white gel pen. I won't be highlighting any images, but I'm just going into those cheeks and placing a few dots there. And for the final pièce de résistance, I am taking the glitter pen of Fawn and then just going inside those little blossoms and then tracing all of my sun, or the whole sun, with the shimmer pen. So it doesn't really see, or you can't really see it on camera, but it gives it a really nice subtle shimmer. And this is the final cards for today. I'm really happy how it turned out, and I hope you like it as well. Have a wonderful day. Bye!